All right, let's talk about that dreaded F2 or E2 error flashing on your dryer. If you're seeing that, you are in exactly the right place. In this quick explainer, we're going to walk through a super simple fix that's probably going to get your dryer back up and running in just a few minutes, and hey, it'll save you a bunch of money on a service call.
You know the feeling. A full load of wet clothes and that little code just mocking you. It's so frustrating. But hold on. Before you pick up the phone to call a repair person, I'm telling you the fix is often way simpler than you think.
And when I say simple, I mean it. There is a 95% chance that you, yes you, can fix this problem yourself in the next 5 minutes. And you're likely going to do it with something you already have lying around the house. No fancy tools, no expensive parts.
Okay, so first things first. Let's decode what your dryer is actually trying to tell you with this error. It seems serious, but trust me, it's usually not the big deal it sounds like.
That F2 or E2 code points directly to one thing, a moisture sensor fault. This has nothing to do with your motor, it has nothing to do with the heat, it just means the dryer's brain is getting a really confusing message from the part that's supposed to tell if your clothes are wet or dry.
So here's how it works. Inside your dryer, there are two little metal strips. When your wet clothes tumble around and touch both of those strips at the same time, they complete a tiny electrical circuit. It's like flipping a switch that tells the dryer, hey, still wet over here. The F2 error just means that signal, that little electrical message, is either blocked or it's stuck on. The machine is just plain confused.
All right, now for the main event. Let's get to the 5-minute fix. This is the one that works for, you guessed it, 95% of cases.
But wait, before you stick your hands in there, and I cannot possibly say this enough, you have to unplug the dryer. Not just turning it off, pull the plug completely out of the wall socket. Safety is priority number one, always.
So the fix itself? It's basically just a bit of cleaning. Open the dryer door and find those two metal sensor strips. They're usually right up front, near the lint filter. See, the number one cause of this error is this invisible film that builds up from dryer sheets. It blocks the sensors. So just grab a cotton ball, dip it in some rubbing alcohol, and scrub those bars until they are bright and shiny again.
Now this is really important. Be firm, sure, but do not use anything abrasive. No steel wool, no scrubby pads. You're trying to remove a film, not scratch the heck out of the metal. If you damage the sensors, you turn a simple cleaning job into a much bigger headache. So yeah, stick to a soft cloth or a cotton ball.
So what happens if you're in that unlucky 5% club? You've cleaned the sensors, you plug it back in, and the error comes right back. Don't panic. The next steps are still totally manageable.
This little table is your best friend for playing detective. You gotta pay close attention to when the error shows up. If it happens instantly, you might be looking at a broken wire. If it runs for a few minutes first, it could be a loose connection. This helps you narrow down where to look.
Okay, with the dryer unplugged again, it's time to do a quick visual inspection. Just follow the two small wires that come from the back of those sensor bars. You're looking for anything obvious, a wire that's been pinched, or maybe one that's come loose. This is the second most common culprit, right here.
All right, in the very rare case that it isn't dirty sensors and it isn't a loose wire, the sensor itself might have just failed. If you happen to have a multimeter, this is actually a really simple test. This slide shows you the only two things that can happen. A good sensor is like an open drawbridge. There's no connection. So your multimeter should read infinite resistance, usually shown as OL. If you get a connection reading when nothing's touching it, or you get no reading even when you bridge the gap, well, then the sensor itself is probably toast. So to run the test, just follow these steps. Unplug the dryer, set your meter to ohms, and put one probe on each sensor terminal. At first, you should see that OL reading. Then, just use your fingers to touch both metal strips at the same time. The reading on your meter should immediately change. If it stays at OL, you've found your problem.
Okay, that was a lot, I know. So let's boil this all down and just quickly recap the absolute most important things you need to remember.
Just remember the simple flow. F2 means moisture sensor. Moisture sensor almost always means dirty bars. The fix is cleaning them with rubbing alcohol. And the golden rule is you always unplug the machine first. If cleaning doesn't work, then you check the wires. Simple as that. We've covered the why and the how, from the super easy cleaning fix all the way to the multimeter test. So the only question left is, what should you do right now?
The real takeaway from all of this is that you can totally do this. The fix is almost certainly within your grasp, probably with stuff you already have in a cabinet. So go on, give it a shot, and get your dryer back in business.